The Galactic Concord had seen it all: black hole-hopping pirates, silicon-based assassins from Jargon 6, even temporal anomalies from the fractured Tkal timelines. But never an unidentified signal that scrambled high-tier scanners and returned a weapon profile labeled simply, unknown, potential cataclysmic. It started near the rimward edge of Sector 7 Quetzales, a sector typically reserved for derelict monitoring satellites and long-forgotten mining husks orbiting a dull red dwarf. The area was empty, purposefully so. No races, no colonies, no traffic. Then came the blip. Commander Ilrex, the probe we dispatched 3 cycles ago, it's been destroyed. Ilrex turned from the main holoscreen aboard the Scion of Peace. His eyes narrowed. What do you mean destroyed? Communications Officer Daniil's claws tapped against the console, nerves visible in every twitch. I mean, it recorded a massive spike in EM radiation, a power surge equivalent to a supercarrier's main cannon, and then nothing. The last image before blackout is this. The image flickered to life. It was blurred, whatever the probe captured had moved fast, but it was still clear enough to reveal scale. An enormous, angular warship. Black as interstellar night, with hull plating unlike any known species design. Red glowing runes, not of decorative kind, but likely functioning heat vents or weapon capacitors, lined the flanks like war paint. It didn't bear any known insignia. And strangest of all, it was silent. No IFF signal. No passive scans. It didn't emit radio or light or even active shield pulses. A ghost ship, except very, very real. Magnify. Stabilize the image. The AI attempted a reconstruction. Once complete, Daniil whispered, that is no derelict. That ship is built to kill. Commander Ilrex leaned forward, mandibles twitching. And it's heading toward Concord space? Estimated vector confirms, Daniil replied grimly. Meanwhile on Earth. Status report on the Vindicator? Asked General Rivera, seated inside a heavily secured vault 2 kilometers beneath Colorado Springs. Lieutenant Rana, eyes scanning a live 3D map projected above the holodable, nodded. She's cleared the heliopause. Full stealth mode engaged. No known alien tech can track her emissions or warp trail. Rivera nodded. And the main cannon? Online. All quantum-fed capacitors are holding at 93% charge. And Commander Ava Morgan has reported successful override of Concord's deep scan surveillance protocols. The general cracked a rare smile. So the galaxy still thinks we're disarmed primitives. Rana chuckled. Let them think that. Let them mock the isolationist Terrans and joke about our lack of biofusion shields. The Vindicator doesn't need those. She's built like a brawler. Rivera's tone dropped. No. She's built like vengeance. Back in the Galactic Concord. The High Council of 9 convened in emergency session on Concord Prime. Species from across the spiral arms filled the amphitheater with tension and unfamiliar dread. Counselor Kirith of the Seraphim opened with a command tone. This unidentified vessel matches no current fleet profiles. And preliminary recon shows it doesn't follow any biological or machine logic we've catalogued. Counselor Trax of the Mantid Throne grunted. It destroyed our probe. That is an act of war. We don't know if it was intentional, chirped Kuel of the Orbital Clans. It could have been an automatic defense system. Stop pretending, hissed Counselor Vornak of the Crawl. It's a warship. And it's coming directly into our territory. This is a message. Ilrex rose from the outer circle. We intercepted fragments of digital emissions. Our linguists and AIs are attempting decryption. But there is one phrase we've confirmed. He pressed a control and a deep, growling audio played in the chamber. Approaching border zone. Target acquisition in progress. Hostile status confirmed. Human vessel initiating breach protocol. Silence descended. No one said it aloud. But the implication struck everyone like a railgun round. Humans. A species most of the galaxy considered benign. Solitary. Young. Unambitious. Their tiny blue world had rejected invitations to join the Concord, opting to observe and grow independently. A decision that was respected, even praised by some, until now. Aboard the Vindicator. Commander Ava Morgan stood at the prow of the bridge, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the swirling warp stream beyond the armored glass. The Vindicator didn't hum or vibrate. She prowled. Quiet as death. Beneath her reinforced skin were weapons powered by singularity cores, launch tubes loaded with AI-guided munitions, and hull sheaths lined with metamaterial that bent most types of detection waves. Status? She asked. Navigation AI replied, Concorde perimeter breach in T-17 minutes. Targets? 17 military stations. 3 border listening posts. 2 patrol fleets. Morgan smiled. All part of the test. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant KG, frowned. This is reckless, Commander. The Concorde's massive. Their fleets are legendary. I know, she said coolly. But they've never fought us. Not the real us. Not the humans who didn't play by the galaxy's rules. He stared at her. And if we fail? She turned toward him, her eyes steely. We won't. Behind them, a battalion of elite Terran Marines, each enhanced with gene edits, trauma AI implants and adaptive reflex mesh, stood ready. Quiet. Deadly. The Vindicator was not a warship. It was a statement. Across the Concorde, messages flooded command centers. Panic erupted in outer colonies. Civilian transports were grounded. The term human incursion trended across data space. Fleet Admiral Zalos of the Outer Rim took it personally. I remember when we uplifted the apes. He spat. We gave them tech. Helped cure their plagues. Even invited them to the Concorde. And this is how they repay us. Captain Jern, younger and calmer, countered. We didn't uplift them. We studied them. Toyed with them. When they asked to explore peacefully, we blocked them. When they wanted to trade, we laughed. We called them unevolved. Zalos snorted. Because they were unevolved. Jern said nothing, merely tapped the hologram. The image of the Vindicator appeared, its crimson weapons glowing like dragon eyes. Not anymore. Back at Earth Command. General Rivera's voice echoed in the control room. This is Operation Apex Dawn. The galaxy will finally learn what humanity is truly capable of. The world had changed in secret. Terraforming failures, alien incursions, hostile black market genetics, it all pushed Earth into self-reliance. And beneath their peaceful surface they built monsters. Cybernetic engineers in the Andes. AI think tanks under the Siberian crust. Quantum AI pilots born from neural simulations of Earth's greatest tacticians. And at the center of it all, the Vindicator. Now, unleashed. The silence in the Ulari war chamber was more dangerous than shouting. High Admiral Krex of the Ulari Sovereign Defense Fleet stared at the rotating hologram of the unidentified warship. It still sat there, motionless, hovering on the edge of the outer patrol zone beyond the shadow of the gas giant Marux. No transponder. No hails. Just presence. Run the scan again, Krex ordered for the 4th time. His subcommanders obeyed without hesitation. He was not a creature known for patience, but neither was he prone to panic. His reputation had been built on calculated violence. When the Draxian rebellion flared up, it was Krex who obliterated their homeworld's orbiting cities in an hour. But this was different. The ship didn't act like anything they'd ever seen, and the scan results defied reason. No crew manifest. No biosigns, said Subcommander Lurik, claws tapping rapidly over the sensor array. But the ship is warm. Thermals are consistent with habitation levels. Engines idle. Weapons, gods. He paused. What? Krex growled, turning toward the younger officer. Sir, it has over a dozen different weapon systems, ion arrays, mass accelerators, plasma torpedoes, and something we can't classify. Energy readings look impossible. Krex's mandibles clicked together. Impossible is unacceptable. I agree, sir. But it's there. As if sensing their scrutiny, the ship moved. It was subtle, just a rotation of its hull, the way a predator might shift slightly when it sees prey twitch. Every Ulari in the chamber leaned forward involuntarily. The ship had no visible insignia, no language identifiers. Its matte black armor absorbed the ambient starlight, giving it a ghost-like presence. Krex turned to the communications officer. Try again. We've sent every standard galactic hail, sir. No reply. No reply doesn't mean it's deaf. Use a tight beam quantum ping. Target the dorsal comms array. Yes, Admiral. The ping shot through the void. A moment passed. Then another. And then. The alien ship responded. But it wasn't a message. It was a pulse. A ripple in space-time, localized, targeted. Every system aboard the Ulari dreadnought stuttered. Screens flickered, engines hiccuped. Even the artificial gravity fluxed for 1.2 seconds. Krex's eyes flared. What the hell was that? Lurik spoke with a whisper. It hacked us. From that distance? And it didn't even break a sweat. A moment later, a single line of text appeared on the primary holoscreen, translating automatically through their internal systems. We see you. That was it. No demands. No negotiations. Just a chilling awareness. Krex rose from his command chair. Raise the fleet. I want battlegroups Theta through Omicron mobilized. And get the Warlands project online. We're not playing games. But sir, Lurik interjected, we still don't know who they are. Oh, I think we do, Krex said grimly. Get me the archive footage from Terran Conflict Epic 6. Lurik hesitated, visibly disturbed. You don't think? I know, Subcommander. That's a human warship. Or what's left of them. Meanwhile, aboard the ship itself, the Spectre's bridge was a contrast of darkness and sharp white lighting. Its design wasn't meant to be operated by dozens. It was a one-man machine. Or rather, one human. Commander Reed Blackwell sipped lukewarm coffee from a cracked steel thermos. He leaned back in his chair, boots crossed on the console. A soft jazz tune played on loop in the background, utterly out of place in the silence of space. Fleet log update, he murmured. A gentle voice responded, his ship AI Mara. Recording Commander. This is Commander Reed Blackwell, 7th Terran Expeditionary Defense. I've just been pinged by the locals. Ilari based on fleet structure. Curious creatures. Always puffed up like they're about to break into a mating dance. Mara chuckled if AI could chuckle. They've poked the bear. I sent them a message. Subtle, right? Very subtle, Mara said. We dropped their comms array's firewall in under 2 seconds. They have no clue how. Good. Let them wonder. He stood slowly, the worn exosuit creaking under its own weight. Black armor etched with old battle scars, half of them still glowing faint blue. The Spectre had been cobbled together from the remnants of fallen fleets and classified projects humanity had deemed too dangerous to continue. But they hadn't scrapped it. They gave it to Blackwell. Because he was the only one insane enough to fly it. Mara, he said, stretching his neck, ready the payloads? But let's not fire unless they do. The point isn't to destroy them. Not yet. Understood. Blackwell looked out at the tiny glinting ships in the distance. Ilari cruisers. The biggest and baddest their sector had to offer. He grinned. They wanted to know if the legends were true, he muttered. Let's give them a story they'll never forget. Back in Ilari High Command, Admiral Krex stared at the ancient footage, the last known recordings of the Terran Wars. Humans had vanished shortly after, pulling their colonies inward, deleting themselves from the galactic web. No comms. No ships. No beacons. Many believed they'd gone extinct. But Krex had always suspected otherwise. They didn't vanish, he said aloud. They prepared. Lurik swallowed audibly. Do we attack? Krex didn't answer immediately. His claws traced the edge of his seat. No, not yet. Prepare the fleet. But do not engage. Not until I've spoken with the Sovereign Council. If that ship really is Terran. His voice dropped to a whisper. We're not facing a skirmish. We're facing extinction. The silence inside the throne chamber of the Unified Galactic Council was suffocating. Holographic projections of the Aegis Eternal, the human warship, loomed over the chamber like a phantom. Even the war-hardened Drak High Warlord Vrek seemed uneasy as he leaned forward, tusked mouth twitching in agitation. Admiral Trell of the Zadari fleet turned his long feathered head toward the UGC chair. That ship violated 500 years of neutral space. This is not a patrol vessel. That is a war declaration. Councillor Hyvrax, representing the Telari, a species renowned for logic and restraint, raised a hand. We do not yet know intent. Perhaps this is a relic. Perhaps it is automated. Then why, interrupted a distorted voice from the far end of the chamber, did it respond to hails and flawless Galcom and broadcast a demand for negotiations? The voice belonged to Councillor Adric Voss, the only human representative at the council, until Earth's membership had been suspended. You expect us to believe that thing is manned? Spat Vrek. The humans were expelled, their colonies isolated, their expansionist engines dismantled. They were finished. Voss's lips curled into a knowing smirk. We were cornered. Not finished. There's a difference. On board the Aegis Eternal, Captain Aurora Kalin stood with arms folded across her chest, staring at the live diplomatic feed from the UGC. Her image was being projected into the council chamber via a crystalline data burst beam. Impossible tech as far as the council was concerned. What I'm offering, Aurora said evenly, isn't war. Yet. But we will not tolerate the occupation of Sector Thorn 7, which was sovereign Earth space before you fabricated drone discovery clauses to void our treaties. The room fell into uproar. How dare she? That sector is deep within the Caver Dominion. That is war. Adric Voss raised his voice, drowning out the protests. What if we heard her out? Because she has no authority, shouted Admiral Trell. Earth is not a signatory power anymore. Aurora's eyes flicked, just for a second, to the darkened corner of her bridge. A shadow moved. Another presence, masked, armored, impossible to identify. Her voice dropped an octave. You believe Earth to be weak. You believe our silence was surrender. What you fail to grasp is that humans adapt to extinction. You taught us restraint and we learned subversion. You forced exile and we learned independence. You stole our colonies and we learned vengeance. As if in answer, the Aegis Eternal opened its lower hull panels, revealing rows of graviton pulse artillery and quantum lance arrays. A silent ripple of terror passed through the council as the display streamed in. You dare fire? We dare nothing, said Aurora. We warn. You trespassed on Earth's old borders. You enslaved our allies. You stole our dead for study. And you never thought we'd rise again. Counselor Hyvrax cleared his throat, his frilled neck vibrating slightly with nervous tension. What do you want, Captain Kalen? She leaned closer to the feed. Her green eyes, unnaturally vibrant, cut through the void between them. Recognition, restoration, and reparations. Earth never sought to dominate. You made it necessary to survive. High Warlord Vrex's snarl echoed. And if we say no? For a moment, silence reigned. Then Aurora gave a nod to her second officer. Demonstration strike. One shot. Far across the edge of the Thorn sector, a lifeless moon exploded. The Aegis Eternal had fired a relativistic kinetic slug at a precisely calculated point on its crust. The moon shattered like glass. Back in the council chamber, screams and curses filled the air. Even Vrek fell silent. Imagine what that would do to your throne world, Aurora said quietly. The power brokers of the galaxy had never faced an opponent like this. Not in hundreds of cycles. The human race had been underestimated, labeled as emotionally erratic, genetically volatile, technologically unoriginal. But the Aegis Eternal was none of those things. It was a warship made of myth, running on systems no one understood. Some thought it powered itself by feeding on spatial anomalies. Others said it housed a fragment of the Soul Core, Earth's lost planetary AI. And its crew? Augmented, gene-spliced, and trained in isolation for decades. Rumors claimed the Eternal had never docked at any known station. It built itself. The most troubling aspect, however, was that it bore no known human registration. That meant it wasn't military. It wasn't corporate. It was sovereign. It meant that humanity hadn't just returned. They'd evolved. Across the galaxy, encrypted messages surged across the dark networks. Pirate clans abandoned their jobs. Mercenary factions suddenly refused to engage Earth assets. AI nodes once thought dead flickered awake and aligned themselves towards Sol. And perhaps most chilling of all, on dead planets thought sterilized by UGC containment protocols, human colonies reactivated, their cryovaults opening. Generations born in silence now awakened. They thought we were gone, said Commander Sarah Lee, gazing out at the stars beside Captain Kalen. But all they did was make sure we had time to become what we needed to be. Aurora gave a quiet nod. No one hides from us now. The silence following the destruction of the moon was almost holy. Not a single delegate in the Unified Galactic Council dared move. The wreckage still tumbled through space, a visual echo of what the Aegis Eternal could do. A quiet reminder. A loud threat. Back on the Eternal's bridge, Captain Aurora Kalen gave no hint of emotion. Her crew, disciplined and calculating, continued operating as though annihilating celestial bodies was just a warm-up. Maybe it was. Council response? She asked. Commander Sarah Lee responded, they've muted their public transmissions. Emergency sessions are happening in silence channels. Encrypted orders being issued across 8-member fleets. We're tracking strategic retreats already. Fear? Aurora murmured. Good. Then across the void a single channel opened. Counselor Hyvrax's face appeared. He looked older, somehow, his frills wilting, his composed face drawn and pallid. Captain Kalen. The Council will not escalate. That much is decided. And? The Council is willing to discuss restoration. Reparations. We ask for a summit. Aurora didn't smile. Location. Somewhere neutral. You misunderstand, Aurora said. Earth is neutral. The meeting will take place in orbit over Sol Prime. You will come unarmed, without escort ships, without AI surveillance. No fleets within 5 AU. Hyvrax's mouth opened, shut, opened again. We'll need time. You have 72 hours. Or we move to phase 2. The line cut. The message echoed through the galaxy. But this was not a war of territory anymore. It was a reveal. The ghost of humanity had returned, but they hadn't just survived. They had grown in the cracks, in secret, and become something the UGC centuries of data couldn't model. Earth had gone silent after the purge decades ago. Humanity was fractured. Their fleets destroyed, their colonies stripped, their AI locked away. Most believed they would never return. But they planned for extinction. It was in their DNA. Humanity didn't die. It retreated, consolidated, and adapted. The Aegis Eternal had been the tip of the spear. Now came the blade. From the asteroid fields of Orion Drift, black ships emerged, wedge-shaped vessels with silent engines, obsidian plating, and no known propulsion trails. From the shattered moons of Jover's Belt, weaponized microfleets launched, drone clouds that bled radiation and pulsed with aggressive code, evolving by the hour. In the dead sector known as Echo's Grave, long believed to be a failed terraforming region, a signal erupted. A human voice. Female. Come. The reckoning fleet is en route. No further warnings will be given. The galaxy's core AI network shuddered. Within the council itself, cracks appeared. The Solari delegation withdrew overnight, citing the council's failure to protect trade partners. The Drax sent ships to the edge of their own borders, not toward Earth but away from it. Admiral Trell vanished. Some said she fled. Others whispered something worse, that she had been found. Back on Earth, Sol Prime, the city of Haven rose into the sky. Its towers shimmered with adaptive crystal, its streets ran on gravity sync power, and its sky was filled with anti-orbital net defenses that no UGC system could identify. Earth's capital was no longer a pale reflection of pre-war civilization. It had become the seat of a new age. Captain Aurora Kalin returned to it not in triumph, but with precision. She knew that showing dominance wasn't enough. Stability had to follow. Fear without vision was chaos. From the command center beneath the Capitol dome, she prepared to receive the council. 3 days passed. Then they came. In a silver shuttle, unarmed and trembling, the council delegates descended into Earth's atmosphere, watched by millions of newly awakened humans and 1,000 sentinel drones. They were ushered into a hall of black stone and silver vines, where humanity's rebuilt assembly waited. The human banner, a golden eye over a fractured star, hung above the room. Aurora stood before them, flanked by augmented diplomats, AI avatars, and off-world envoys once thought extinct. You labeled us dangerous, she began. You feared our chaos. You disassembled our fleets, erased our memory, scattered our future. She paused, looking at each of them. And we thank you. Murmurs rippled. Because in your desperation to destroy us, you made us free. You forced us to shed the old. You gave us time. You taught us to fight not with weapons alone, but with silence, with preparation, with evolution. She stepped forward, and the light caught her irises, glowing subtly, unnaturally. You want peace? You'll have it, under our terms. You will cede back the territories you annexed. You will dismantle the factories you built on our bones. You will pay in energy, in transit rights, in access to wormholes once denied to us. You will honor Earth. Or Earth will become your reminder. Counselor Hyvrax bowed his head. And if another species challenges this peace? Aurora didn't answer. She didn't have to. Behind her, the wall shimmered, revealing projections of the Aegis Eternal, the Reckoning Fleet, and a black sphere known only as Project Obsidian. It was no longer about one ship. It was a doctrine. The galaxy now understood what humans were. They were the apex reaction. They were the anomaly the universe couldn't sterilize. They were the forgotten species that made extinction their blueprint. And they had come home. End of story. Let me know if you'd like an image made to match this final chapter or if you'd like this formatted into a downloadable storybook.